Welcome to Kim's Crafting Corner, and today we're going to be doing a very simple Christmas gift that's also going to teach you how to sublimate on wood using lamination. So this one here, I liked it, and you can customize it too. You can put people's names on it as well. So that makes a great Christmas gift, especially if you have a beautiful baby or a little kid that you can put in there. I mean, you can put any design. You can put like a family design. There's a decorative design. There's so much that you can do with this. But I chose one that just makes a great Christmas gift. So some of the things that you're going to need: your piece of wood. This is a frame that I got from Michael's for $1.99. You will need a lamination sheet. So like the sheet kind that you put in the laminating machines. So this is what you're going to need as well. This is the Scotch brand one, and I'll talk about using it. You're going to need either butcher paper, parchment paper, or if you get the Cricut infusible ink packages, the transfer sheets, there's sheets of this in there as well. Some sort of oven mitt or glove to protect your hands from the heat. You'll need either heat transfer tape, or you will need some sort of way to adhere your sublimation design to the paper so that it prints well. A sharp knife, and I found I just needed a pair of tweezers. Of course, you're going to need your heat source, so you can either use your Cricut heat press. If you have a professional press, you can use that as well. I did not try it with an iron, so I cannot tell you whether this would work with an iron or not. So you would have to experiment. But again, because it's such an inexpensive project, you could always experiment on a piece of wood first to see if it works before you try it on a project that you're working on. So the first thing we want to do is we want to trim down this lamination paper. Now, when I first tried this, I actually did a couple of different things before doing this video. So I tried it on a wooden star, and I wanted to have the background white, so I painted it, and it didn't work. The lamination sheet would not stick to the paint. Didn't seem to matter what I did. I couldn't get that thing to stick. Now, what it did stick to was my underboard on my professional heat press, stuck to the butcher paper, stuck to everything else except for what I wanted to. So that's why I want to trim this down a little bit, because it does tend to stick to everything else, and I don't want to have to be peeling things off. Now, you don't want to cut it exactly to the size. And the reason for that is it does shrink a bit. So you want to make sure that you, if you cut it right to size, it will shrink on there. So you don't want to do that. So leave yourself a border. Doesn't have to be a huge one. And again, if you've got a project and your lamination sheet fits on perfectly, and you don't need to trim it, it's not hugely hanging over, that's fine. In this case, I'm just trimming it to make sure I don't damage my heat press. All right, at this point, we are ready to go. You're going to want to preheat your press to 385 degrees. And let's go over there, and I'll show you the next steps. All right, so before you put your design on, and I'm using a professional heat press, put the butcher paper on underneath, because like I said, it started to stick to this blue mat here. I wasn't impressed, but that was my fault. You're going to put your wood on top. I'm going to fold these down a little bit. Okay, make sure the laminate covers the whole thing. another sheet of butcher paper on top. Now, when I was first doing this and watching videos, the lady said 30 seconds, and I tried it and it did not adhere at all. So I actually ended up doing it about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Now, I think the reason is the Scotch brand lamination sheets are so thick that it's going to take extra time for it to adhere. So we'll do 60 seconds and probably give it another 30 on top before I pull it off, because it just was not sticking at all. So while this is finishing up going, I will just speed up the rest of the video. Alright, so we're going to pull this off here. And now it's adhered to the butcher paper. We're going to go back and we are going to trim this. All right, so here we are. And I'm just using an old Cricut mat to do this with because I found that they make great cutting mats. And why go out and buy an expensive cutting mat when I can use up my old Cricut ones and get more use out of them? So you're going to have to peel this off of the butcher paper. Now the other thing is you might want to wait a couple of minutes as well, because the first time I did this, I put it on the Cricut mat. It was so hot the Cricut mat was bending up. It wasn't burning, it was just kind of moving with the mat. So you might want to give it a minute. So just while we're waiting for it to cool a little bit, just want to remind you that I have a free membership where you get a new design each week. You get you know, craft videos, you get videos on different projects such as this one. I have great resources for you as well. So the membership is worth it. It's free, and you'll see the link below in the description. All right, so let's get this trimmed here. Let's just, yep, that's good. I can touch it. So you're going to take your X-Acto knife, and you just want to trim along the edge. Now it's still a little bit hot, but okay, there you go. We've trimmed along the edges, and now we're going to trim inside the heart. And there you go. Now, if you find that you got a lot of rough edges, you know, or it didn't cut nicely, you can also just trim it back a little bit more, or you can also just use sandpaper just to take some of the roughness off of the edges. So now we're going to work on the sublimation part, and I'm going to come on over here to my computer, and I'll show you how to get the design. All right, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I've already uploaded the design. And if you're new to Cricut Design Space and you're not sure how to upload the design, if you're in my free membership, there's a video there that shows you how to upload. There's also a Complete Design Space newbie video. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will put it up in a link in the description. Plus you'll see the little suggested video above. Sorry guys, my throat is a little froggy today. So we've uploaded the design, and now what we need to do is, you know, you got to make sure it's the right size. So in this case, I already measured my frame, and I know that I wanted it to be 3.5 inch. So I've just sized it down. And then after that, it's ready to go. Now I got this as a free design on designbundles.net. The link will be in the description below for both the free membership and the YouTube video. So just a quick thing, if you've been enjoying this video, don't forget to boop the like button for me. So now that it's ready to go, you're just going to come over, you're going to click on Make It. And you want to mirror it. So come over here to the mirror button. Almost all sublimation is mirrored. There are certain things that you do that are not, but most of them are mirrored. You're going to hit the continue button. It's going to connect to your machine. And sometimes it takes a little bit. You're going to send to printer. And with this design, you cannot use a regular printer. You must use a sublimation printer for it. I bought an Epson Eco Tank and I converted it into a sublimation printer. So I also have a video on that as well. So it'll be in the show notes, or if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll see it up there as a suggested video. So you cannot use a regular printer and you cannot use regular ink. I do not add bleed. And I'm just going to hit print. So there you go, it printed out quite nicely. Make sure when you do this that you're using the PNG file, not the SVG file, and it is print and cut. Now, for whatever reason, my machine half the time does not catch the print line, so it will not cut out. And I've tried so many things to fix it. It might be the lighting in my room, but I've tried different lighting. I've tried everything. I've tried highlighting the black lines. It just does not seem to catch it. So in this case, I'm just going to cut them out. It could be because it's on sublimation paper too, because the thing is that it's not as dark because the heat hasn't been applied to it. Now, I've done stickers before and the print and cut has worked great, but I find on the sublimation paper it doesn't. So I'm going to cut this out and, we'll adhere it to the design. But it still doesn't mean I don't use my Cricut machine. But you don't actually need a Cricut machine. You can just print it out yourself. But I find that using Cricut Design Space is quick and easy for sizing the design, getting it uploaded, and getting it printed. Now, when you're cutting this, you want to make sure that you're cutting it as close as possible, so it makes it less likely that the sublimation ink will bleed. So when you're cutting it, I mean, you don't have to cut around every little piece, but I just cut around it. All right, there we go. Now we want to put the design on our board. And so you want to make sure that you center it, that you have it nice where you want it. I mean, you could do it higher or lower, but I think it would be great to put a person's name across the top. So I'm going to center it here in the heart. And then we're going to use the heat transfer tape. And when you're using the heat transfer tape, don't be afraid to use a lot of it. You need good pressure on the design for it to soak in. And if there's not enough contact, the ink just won't seep in. So, I tape it around all four edges. And I at least put one through the middle as well. So you're going to be heating this design again at 385. And I heated it for 60 seconds. But it could depend on your heat source. It could also depend on your sublimation paper and your sublimation ink. So use it as a guideline, but you might need a little bit more. You might need a little bit less. So here's a hint and tip. If you're doing something really important, it's a last minute gift or something like that, and you don't have time to, buy more stuff, always buy 2 of. Because then if for some reason it doesn't work, you can always redo it again. Now, the nice thing is a lot of my projects are inexpensive to do, so that you can get 2 of them as well. And you can also check out my resources playlist. And I have got a ton of Dollar Tree finds in there of inexpensive projects and things that you can do with your Cricut machine. All right, we're going to go over now and we're going to put on the sublimation design. I have preheated my heat press to 385 degrees. Put your nice little butchered paper on. It's always a good idea, it just protects your surfaces. I don't tend to use it with a t-shirt, but other stuff like this I do. You're just going to put your design down. Your other piece of paper on top. Now you want to put this down with a fair amount of pressure. I tightened up my pressure really tight. And then you're just going to let it go for 60 seconds. All right, there we go. Now again, this is always very hot, so you want to pick it up with some sort of either oven mitt or special glove. I love these Ott gloves because they're double-sided, so I just buy one and I can use it on either hand. Now sometimes when I'm dealing with the hot stuff like this, I'll take the butcher paper with me. So let's go back on over and see how it looks. All right, here we are, we're back. I've let it cool down a little bit. I did find the laminate did actually size out a little bit on the top. It grew bigger a little bit. So I'm just going to trim that back off there. Which is harder to do when I'm trying to hold it up for the camera. All right, there you go. Then you're just going to want to peel the tape. Of course, I do not have long nails because I do play musical instruments, so sometimes it makes harder peeling this stuff. All right, you want to try and peel the design off as quickly as possible. And there you go. Cuter than a Christmas cookie. You can put your picture back in there again. It comes with this little stick, which you just put in the back. And voila. Now if you find your edges are a little rough because it's a cheaper piece of wood, you can sand it down a little bit as well so that you can get it so that it's all nice and smooth. I just tend to trim it a little bit or pull the little pieces off. So there you have it. A very quick and easy gift that you can make. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to boop the like button. Also, check out my free membership. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye now.